Wow, what a supportive family. I want to tell you that this is such a huge honor, that Monty, that you asked me to perform this ceremony and officiate, but I want to honor the family, because behind every military member, there are sacrifices that are made by the family. There's support by the family, and you guys, this is to honor you also, because you have served as the wind beneath Monty's wings, and she's made so many accomplishments. So first, I'd just like to say this is an honor, and I'd like, you have so much to be proud for. So now I get the pleasure to talk a little bit about Monty, and this is exciting, because I've learned some neat things I want to share. And so I expected when I asked her, how did you end up joining the Air Force? I expected her to say, oh, I followed in the footsteps of my grandfather or my father. And you know what she said? She said, I've never been around the military. She grew up in Houston and in the city. And she went to high school, and when she was a freshman, by the time it was time to register for her classes, almost all of the electives had been taken. Monty was a freshman. Her name starts with a T. Probably she was at the end of that alphabet, right? And I'm sorry. Yeah, it was Sam. Yeah, okay. And she was last to register, and guess what is left? German or junior ROTC. She had to pick between German or junior ROTC. And so she talked to some people. She said, what is ROTC? And she had some friends that said, you know what? Okay, take ROTC. And in German words, es war eine sehr gute Wahl und ist geschickte. That means you made a darn good decision and the rest is history. Okay? So she went through this junior ROTC. I need to say now that it was Army junior ROTC, not Air Force junior ROTC. And she happened to be in the class that was the drill class, where they march and they perform and they go under competition. And she told me that this was an all-girl drill team. For 4 years, she was in junior ROTC. And it wasn't just a drill team. Drill teams compete. She was part of the armed drill team. They throw the rifles. They are the armed drill team, and they were a winning team. Lots of trophies. They were under the direction of the single male that was part of the unit. A bunch of girls, a single male. And at the end of those 4 years of high school, her Army leader, the commander, the Army, retired Army course director, finally got smart. He pulled her aside and he said, Monty, I think you should join the Air Force. And you know, she did. She went and she signed up for the Air Force. Didn't know much about what it was, but just 3 months after high school ended, she went in August, 9th of August, 1995, signed up. Now she tells me that I want to correct something. She had signed up a little bit earlier, and that's when she entered. And I was told that at first Mom and Dad weren't too sure about this. As a matter of fact, they were doing the Dr. Phil thing. What were you thinking? And they weren't too sure about this. And Mom gives credit to her sister Angie for being her cheerleader and saying, "Come on. You can do this. You can do this. Let's show Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad get over it. They're gonna." And I'll bet Mom and Dad are happy now, right?
And that is speaking to her for 3 years.
Oh, you did. Yeah, but it was a good decision in the end, wasn't it, ma'am? Yeah. So Monty went to sign up, and she wanted. This is a neat thing too. Monty always wanted to be a police officer for the city of Houston, and so she decided she would go into security forces. So she went to sign up, and her first choice was security forces. Her second choice, because she likes to be out and about and do things, was supply. And they told her she had to pick a third choice. And she said, I don't know, what's personnel? personnel. I'll just pick personnel. And isn't that office thing? And guess what happened? Personnel. So Monty went into the Air Force. She became a personnelist. And at her first station, she didn't get to leave Texas. She was stationed at Wichita Falls at Shepherd Air Force Base. And the minute she goes in, she signs up to be on the Honor Guard. Now that's a first-term airman coming in and saying, guys, I'm going to be on the Honor Guard. And it was a great thing that you did that, because guess who ran the Honor Guard? Who do you think was in charge of the Honor Guard? Her future husband, Victor, was in charge of the Honor Guard. So, according to Victor, she was every detail she volunteered for. She was the cream of the crop on Honor Guard. She showed them all how to do it. She was always there doing double duty on Honor Guard. And I was thinking that maybe Vic was a little biased, But then I read her EPRs and found out that Monty was awarded the Honor Guard Member of the Quarter very early into her career by the Air Force there at Shepherd Air Force Base. So she really, you were shining from the very beginning. So, that's Shepherd, right? You learned your stuff pretty well at Shepherd, because when you look at her EPRs, she excelled. They talked about her single-handedly managing and scheduling the tracking for what we call the 7-level formal training course. That is huge for somebody that young in service to do. They talked about her serving on the Personnel Advisory Council and volunteering for to run all sorts of humanitarian and other events there for the community. And so, while she's at Shepherd, she and Victor aren't quite dating a whole lot yet. She's at Shepherd, and one of her mentors said, you know what, you need to volunteer to go to Korea remote so you can have a dream assignment. And you need to be able to travel and have a dream assignment. And she admitted to me that when people were talking about Guam being a dream assignment, she was thinking, what's Guam? Where's Guam? And so what you did, you learned about Guam. Guam was an island assignment, and in Monty's words, she said, Shepherd Air Force Base was not Texas. It snowed there was ice there, and there were tornadoes there. I needed to get out and go somewhere else. And so she volunteered to go to Korea for a year so that she could have a follow-on assignment to Guam. And she later finds out that Victor's going to Guam, right? Now, I don't know the real story, but I believe there was a little bit of this, you're following me. No, you're following me. No, you're following me. But the bottom line is she went to Korea. And then Victor was already in Guam. And when she went to Kunsan, she was, before going to Korea, she was the airman in charge of personnel. It sounded like on her EPR, you were in charge of almost everything. You managed all the programs and touched virtually everything that the personnelist touches. And again, her EPRs show your excellence. In Korea, they said her duty performance is outstanding. Another line, an aggressive and talented airman who produced impeccable results in every single job. This was second assignment, continuing to shine. Well, she left Korea, went to Guam, and, gets to Guam and starts doing a little bit more with Vic, going out to lunch. Now, by this time, I like to make my retirement speeches a little juicy, So let's tell the story. Ronnie doesn't know I'm going to tell this. But by this time, you're both thinking, I'm pretty interested. Boy, and they were both trying to impress each other. All right? So they hadn't been dating at Wichita Falls, and she had been in Korea. They're trying to impress each other. And Vic tells me that Mommy was going to try to make him homemade tortillas. And that she goes in and gets all these things and is going to try to make him homemade tortillas to impress him. And that warm because when they got cool, they just crumbled and there was flour on his mouth. And I guess that day he had flour everywhere. It's like, but you know what? You did impress him. Look at the end. Okay? You did impress him. But let's talk about her duty in Guam. In Guam, she was serving on the commander support staff, and again, awesome reviews. These are the quotes. My go-to airman selflessly volunteered off-duty time to charities both on and off base, continues to perform at a level of excellence above her peers and grade. Stellar performer. And this was Guam, 1 year in Guam. And then she gets sent where? Back to Texas, to Lackland. Now, at the same time that she gets sent to Lackland, Victor gets sent to the beautiful spot of Clovis, New Mexico, Cannon Air Force Base, which I think is 800 or 900 miles from San Antonio. And by this time, they've impressed each other enough that they're pretty serious. And you know, once a month, one of the two of them would travel that distance back and forth between Cannon Air Force Base and San Antonio for quite some time. Then the Air Force just happened to do some reshaping of Vic's AFSC, and they sent him a little bit closer. He got to go to another wonderful spot in the Air Force, Del Rio, Texas, to Laughlin Air Force Base. So now it's a little bit easier, and now instead of once a month, they're going back and forth every single week. Yeah, weekends to Del Rio. At this time, though, you know, they're thinking, we need to get married. We need to get married, then we can be together. And it's kind of ironic, but 8 years after the day she signs into the Air Force on August 9th, 1995, and August 9th, 2003, Monty and Vic get married, and they're thinking, yeah, now we get a joint spouse assignment, we can be together. And they were going to send Monty to Del Rio, but it didn't work. They're not very happy because they want to be together, and all of a sudden, Vic finds this joke on his desk that says, you have orders to Lackland, and he gets kind of mad. Who told this? This is not funny. And when he finds out, he thought it was a joke, but it wasn't a joke. He finds out that they had actually worked an assignment to get him back to Lackland so that they could be together, and they started their family with, you had Victor and Anthony, yes, and I'm going to remember, Alicia, right? And then Aria, yes, the four, and started their assignment there together. And Monty, you were assigned, this is a neat story, and I love this story. I think this is what it's all about. Monty was assigned to several places there at Lackland. But one of the places that she was assigned, her very most favorite assignment of her whole 20-year career, was she worked in the commander support staff there for, 324th, is that right? 324th Training Squadron, where they have the basic military trainees. That's where they start. That's where they go. They're at Lackland. And she tells me the story. I said, I asked her, I said, what was so neat about that it made it your favorite assignment? And her words were just beautiful. And these were her words. She said, you know, these recruits come in with all different walks of life, from all different colors and communities, with all different lengths of hair. They come in and they look kind of lost, and they look like, you know, they're there for the first time, and 8 weeks later, they are a cohesive group with pride and standing up with their heads tall and working together. They're an Air Force family. And she said every time one of those, groups of trainees would come in and be hammered by those mean, fierce drill sergeants, MTIs, it was beautiful at the end because they were Air Force Blue and they knew they were serving their country and they knew why they were serving their country. And at that time, Madi would go to the graduations. She said, every time I went to a graduation, my heart and soul was re-glued and I wanted to be an MTI. Now, this is where she met Sergeant Hannibal, who I can say, she is fierce and feared. I have to say this. You were here, you saw it. We were having a practice yesterday, and a few people were looking at their cell phone, and she could have stopped it out right away, and she was going around collecting gum before we had the ceremony. You're still Drill Sergeant Air Force, but she was a fabulous mentor for Madi. Madi decided she wanted to be a military training instructor. And there must be this thick packet to apply. Lots of photos, lots of letters, and she said, I want to do this. And so she started to apply and had that packet almost done, and then some things happened. As this was happening, Victor, there was a lost comrade that overseas in Iraq, and Victor had a 1 week notice to take a deployment, and it was a pretty big hot spot back at that point in time, 2006, and he had a 1 week time, and on December 21st, before Christmas in 2006, he was sent to Iraq, and Madi was left with her job and raising the 4 children. And if that wasn't enough, after he served and came back, Madi, one of the people in her career field, at the last minute could not go on to the deployment, and she had just a few days' notice to then be deployed. And so the children, and we talk about sacrifices of the military, the children then had a lot of, it's hard. It's hard. And dad's gone, mom's gone, and I'm just really proud of how these children learned. Victor told me, he said it was hard, but it was one of the best things for our family. It brought our family together. It created the patriotism, the family togetherness, to know that family is what it's all about and that it's special. So in the end, Madi's ready to turn in this MTI packet, and she meets with Victor, and they talk about family, and that family's what's important, and that it takes hours and hours to be an MTI, a military training instructor, and she said, my family's where it is. They wanted to have a couple more kids, they wanted to expand their family, and they made a joint decision that dream wasn't going to be there, but that you could still always believe yourself as a wonderful, wonderful mentor. Now I gotta find my notes because so many things were, so many wonderful things were talked about with her. Those EPRs we talked about, while she was there, she had the writing of my #1 commander support staff person. She had a statement significantly outperformed others. She leads the parade while the others are watching. Another statement made by her commanders, colossal impact on our mission, people, and community. She consistently received the highest ratings. Continued to excel. Now, after serving at Lackland, I guess Vic retired, and after serving at Lackland, of course, AFPC decided they're going to pull Madi over, and she's going to work here at AFPC. And so, but while she was still at Lackland, she didn't just serve as the NCOIC, we call it the non-commissioned officer in charge of the commander support staff, but you also serve as the NCOIC of formal training at Lackland. She also served as the Air Force aid officer for the 37th Mission Support Squadron, and so they brought her over here to Randolph and assigned her to what we call the Total Force Service Center. That's the center that helps every airman all over the globe, 24 hours a day, wherever you happen to be. They brought her over to So kudos there. So now, where do we come in? So I met Marty 2 years ago. She was reassigned. They picked her to be the office manager for one of the highest visibility organizations in the Air Force. We work the medical evaluation boards, and she was selected to be the office manager for the Formal Physical Evaluation Board. And in this job, she has been the subject matter expert. She interfaces with people from every base to give them information and to teach them about the medical board process. But I have to tell you about my first 2 weeks with Molly. I was new, she was new, and we were just swamped. Mr. Sanchez is here. We were swamped. We had papers everywhere because of managing difficulties. We weren't manned. And I remember thinking, oh no, how are we going to get all this paperwork done? And I'm there and I'm seeing Monty go home at 4:30. And I'm thinking, okay, she's going home at 4:30. But you know what? Monty went home at 4:30 so she could feed her kids. And she was back with baby in hand, little Mika, working at the office. She would change clothes and come in. And she was there from 5 to 9, sometimes 10. And on weekends to get the organization caught up. I was just in awe of the determination. I'd say, go home. Ma'am, I will. I have to get this done. It's just the integrity. You remember those days. It's just the integrity that you have. We're down to the end of the career because you're starting something much better. You're going to need to spend more time with your family. But I just want to talk a little bit about the family. Because I listened to Monty brag and Vic about the family and what a close-knit group and about the children. And I want to brag a little bit on their children. Because through all of this support for their parents in the military and through the trials and through having to sacrifice as children, they blossomed and they're so strong. And that is, I am just so impressed. So the oldest, Victor, it wasn't good enough just to join the Army. He had to be an Army Ranger. They've got an Army Ranger son that's at Fort Benning, right? Fort Benning. And their daughter, Ariel, is attending college at Northwest Vista College, and she herself is considering a possible Air Force career, either dental or medical. That's wonderful. Next, Tony. I have to remember Tony. Tony is, and you heard the talent of the music, and I hear that you're going to be expanding that talent and studying music at University of Texas at San Antonio, and just graduated from high school and very into music, correct? And so, let's see, Alicia. Now, I've heard a lot about Alicia, and because Alicia is not only just a magnificent honors student in all AP and honors classes, making great grades, but she also is the athlete of the family. She runs track, volleyball, basketball, and that's neat. How you juggle all of that, and your mom is hoping that you will go to the Air Force Academy, and so before you leave today, you see this colonel right here sitting here. You need to talk to him about the Air Force Academy, right? Okay. All right. And then we have Mia. Hi, Mia. I hear that you are an expert bike rider and that you love purple, and you've got a purple backpack, and you're going to be starting school soon. How did I know all of that? And that Mika is attached to you, and everything that you do, does Mika say, me too, I want to do it? So, beautiful family, and thank you, Mom, Dad, grandparents, just everybody, thank you for the support. It's time to retire Technical Sergeant Temez, but first we're going to come, if you'll come up, we have a decoration.
Citation to accompany the award of the Air Force Commendation Medal, 2nd Oak Leaf Cluster to Technical Sergeant Maricela Thomas. Technical Sergeant Maricela Thomas distinguished herself by meritorious service as former Physical Evaluation Board Superintendent, Physical Disability Division, Headquarters Air Force Personnel Center, Joint Base, San Antonio, Randolph, Texas. During this period, Sergeant Thomas directed personnel, administrative and logistical support, interfacing with Headquarters ASPC, Physical Disability Division Action Officers, Legal Counsel staff, and Medical Treatment Facility Physical Evaluation Board Liaison Officers. Her Herculean efforts ensured a full and fair hearing for over 1,800 airmen and wounded warriors transitioning through the Integrated Disability Evaluation System. As a powerful change agent for quality improvement, Sergeant Thomas upgraded antiquated equipment and overhauled process designs, boosting electronic case file transfer efficiency by 20%. Her platinum management skills were instrumental in leading the Air Force Formal Physical Evaluation Board to #1 in Department of Defense metrics, surpassing both the United States Army and United States Navy timeliness statistics by a whopping 75%. The distinctive accomplishments of Sergeant Thomas culminated a distinguished career in the service of her country and reflect credit upon herself in the United States Air Force. Attention to order. Special order number Alpha Charlie 017621. Technical Sergeant Maricela Thomas is relieved from active duty. Headquarters Air Force Personnel Center, Joint Base San Antonio, Randolph, Texas, and retired effective 1 September 2015 in the grade of Technical Sergeant by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Colonel Ray will now present Sergeant Thomas with the certificate of retirement from the Armed Forces, which reads, "This is to certify that Technical Sergeant Maricela Thomas, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the 1st day of September 2015. Signed, Mark A. Wilson, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force." Sergeant Thomas has also received a Presidential Certificate of Appreciation for service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America, which reads, "I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. Your commitment and dedication have been an inspiration for those who will follow in your footsteps, and for all the Americans who join me today in saluting you for a job extremely well done. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Rob H. Thomas, Commander-in-Chief." Colonel Lang will now present Sergeant Thomas a certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. The certificate reads, "I am proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. The achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well deserved, but your selfless contributions will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success." Signed, James A. Cody, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. In addition, the Governor of the State of Texas extends congratulations to Technical Sergeant Thomas and a certificate that reads, "It has often been said that the actions of the brave allow us all to live free in this great land that we call home. Our armed forces have long borne the standard of our great nation in defending our most cherished rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Whether within our borders or in the most dangerous foreign lands, these courageous men and women have sacrificed much so that we may live in freedom. It is ever more evident in this changing world that liberty does not come without cost. Forevermore, you will be owed a tremendous debt of gratitude for helping to ensure that America remains a beacon of hope and freedom unto all nations. We salute you for your service to the United States of America. Signed, Governor Greg Abbott. We now invite Sergeant Commonwealth's husband, Casanova Victor, and daughter to place the retirement on his wife and their bonus for parents.